Welcome to the Link edition this week. And this segment is brought to you by Standard Chartered Bank, who are sponsoring it and bankrolling us to make sure we give you the information that you need and you can use. You might have heard that government will allow you to use your savings pension, NSSF and other savings to be able to, acquire a mortgage or a house under the mortgage for yourself. Today we want to understand, how does this thing work? What is a mortgage even? And my guest tonight is Mr. Daniel Babonereirwe, who is a former banker for about more than 20 years and also owns Banner Consult, and is a consultant now in the area of financial issues. Dan, welcome.
Thank you, Sam.
Today we are dealing with this animal called mortgage. How does a mortgage actually work? We think many Ugandans know, but today we want to find out, how does a mortgage actually work?
Thank you, Sam, again. And a mortgage is actually taken from two Latin words, mortus and gage.
Okay.
Mortus means until death.
Okay.
Gage means pledge. So it's dead pledge.
Okay.
It never expires until you clear your obligation.
Okay.
Yeah. So the mortgage, really, that's the definition of it, the historical definition. But over age, it has grown to grow different facets, and it can be used. But the most commonly use of this, as in this act, as you talked about, is the residential house loan or a home loan. Okay. Which is an encumbrance taken on your property, residential property, until you clear that loan. Okay. In installments.
Encumbrance taken on my property, what does that mean?
Encumbrance taken on your property means encumber is really to put a roadblock. You cannot just wake up one day and sell that house without the authority or realization of the stake of the lender. Therefore, the lender has a hold on it.
The lender owns that house while I still owe them.
No, you own it,
yes,
but they hold the stake in it. Okay. They hold the stake in it. The house is yours. It's in your names, but they hold the claim on it. Okay. Because it's almost single, if you put it in the local language.
Meaning,
yes,
I have to pay first before they give it, they go away.
Exactly. It's a quid pro quo. You pay as they release. They pay as they release. So it could be in one charge or several charges, depending on the liability you have on the property. Okay. Yes.
Types of mortgages common in Uganda?
In Uganda, in America, it's about three. The one they call the jumbo, and the common one, and the middle one, which is basically for commercial properties. In Uganda, basically, it's commercial property and the residential, but it could also be taken in another way. It has also grown to be used in a way that, because land is the commonest security we have, like in Uganda. So even when you are securing the other loans with your own property, it's also called a mortgage. So you can also make it a commercial mortgage. Okay. Yes. But
so whenever you put collateral, that's a mortgage? Yes.
They put a mortgage. A mortgage is that charge. You remember, it's a pledge which never expires. Okay. For example, you can compare it with a caveat. A caveat has an expiry date, normally given, say, by court or other authority, which goes up to, say, 6 months. Okay. Once the 6 months ends, without you explaining why you're putting it there, because it's also a charge, it expires. Okay. And you are free from it.
But the mortgage,
it will never expire until you have cleared that deed you have done with the bank, that you have a stake in my property until I've cleared.
So in this case, it's the money?
It's the money.
Okay. Yes. Now, I know that mortgages are sometimes executed in two ways. Let me say housing, home loan. Yes. There's one buyout and there's another incremental. Please explain this.
Where you have like a buyout is because you could as well go out and purchase a property or through
a house in this case.
Yes, a house in this case. And there is where you can actually take it in tranches. Okay. Now that's one part of accessing.
Let's deal with the tranches.
the tranches.
When do the tranches apply? Tranches means they give you pieces of money until, if it's 100 million, they give you.
Yeah, you know, I like putting this thing in a common man's language. Tranches meaning it's like installments.
Installments, yes.
When you are getting the loan. You get say I'm constructing a house.
Yes.
I have my plot, or I have purchased a plot as well. So the funder or the bank in this case puts it in maybe different stages. There's putting the land on the dump course where you're spreading off, raising the walls, roofing, maybe, and finishing, etc. So because remember, that property now the bank has a stake in it.
Yes.
They are giving money to assume, they assume that once you put in the money, its value is growing. So they have to ensure that this money is not diverted or misused. So they give you tranches. You put in, you finish, they ensure the money has gone in, you put in, they ensure the money has gone in, you put in, as when you finish all the stages, now the property is high in value, so that they are not cheated out.
So you do a foundation. I have seen this happen. They come and inspect and say, okay, the foundation is there.
Yes.
Then they give you the next one for the walls. They say, oh, the walls are there. I've talked to somebody who said that they even do for you the bills of quantities. They look in there and say, how much is cement? Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. Because you see, when you are releasing this money, because it's an innovation which allows both parties to win. I'm putting money into your property, so I have to make sure it's going into the right property. It could actually be going even a different property. You access the money, you go and spend it. Many people actually do it. They get that money, they spend it in business, rather than putting it for the actual purpose. You remember last time we were here, we talked about the purpose in all of this. So if you are getting the money and you are not, for example, in this retirement benefits case, you are not putting into your residential house, which is going to ease on one of the 5 basic needs, which is housing. Now, at the end of the day, you gamble it around, you lose all the money, and then you not have housing when you get out of the job.
Can I say that when you get a mortgage and you are building incrementally, the bank, some people say the bank is micromanaging me. Is that a correct outlook?
Yeah, probably so, but you see it for a short time when you are constructing. After the construction, all they need is an insurance on your house so that if it gets destroyed, they don't lose out.
So what's the other alternative if I'm not building?
You could access and go and purchase, for example,
the whole house.
Condominiums being sold by developers, and you go straight, they pay the vendor, and you gain the title for that property.
Dan, please help me understand. I've had people complain that sometimes the title is in the bank's name, not mine, until I pay and then they transfer. Is that the case?
Unless you're buying from the house, from the bank itself, yes. Unless you're buying, but ordinarily, the bank is not a property agent, so it does not deal in properties. It only facilitates you and the seller. Yes.
What are the common challenges and pitfalls as a consumer if I take up a mortgage?
I bet the biggest challenge, I take it from the biggest complaints you hear people say, that I've taken a loan and I've paid for 10 years, the loan is not reducing. The biggest challenge in that one, and the majority of these people maybe never explained step by step. Number one is that the schedule they give you, in most cases, is what is commonly called the amortized schedule. The amortized schedule ensures that your installment can fit within your income. Now, if your income was unlimited, you could choose any type of schedule. But the banker wants to see that your cash flows match what goes into the bank. But also what the banker may not tell you is that at the beginning of that loan, biggest part of the biggest part of the installment is interest.
Fast.
So you'll pay interest until you cross halfway. If it's for 20 years, until you cross halfway that schedule, that's when the principal becomes bigger than the interest. Just take it as a rule of the.
And that's when the rate will begin to go down.
If it's 20 years, count 10 months. Know that in the first 10 years, your interest is part of the installment. The interest component of the installment is bigger than the principal installment. So after the 10 years, the loan actually runs faster.
Okay.
Yes.
So you need, if it's 20 years, you need to endure tough. cope until 10, and then that's when you will see reductions.
Now, majority of us also never read the clauses also don't do their homework on how they want to, because the bank wants to pay in 20 years. It does not mean you must pay them in 20 years. Take the 20 years as plan B, but have your own plan A. For example, if I'm 40 years, I know in 20 years I will be retiring. The mortgage is taking 20 years. I could pay up in 5 years, and I will pay a quarter of the interest.
But don't they punish me for paying in less time?
The punishment is so negligible compared to the interest you would have paid them.
Okay.
Yeah, because they also want to predict income they are going to make out of them. If you are having 100 million, they're expecting maybe to make some interest from you, and all of a sudden you pay. They have to first look for where to invest the money again. So that penalty is to cater for that.
Final scenario, Dan, as we run out of time. I have 20 years, I pay 15, and there are 5 left. Things go bad. What happens to me in that case?
But there are so many options.
Yeah.
If you sit down with your banker, the banker will always guide you in what you can do. But what is true is that your equity has already grown in that property. You could actually negotiate, and maybe, because there are actually people who, after paying the mortgage up to a certain point, maybe they want to access access another loan. They can make that equity of theirs also security to another.
But then I'm saying I'm failing. I failed to pay. I have 5 years to go.
Yes.
Out of 20, I paid 15, and there's this 5 left, and even to Uganda, things are just failing. What happens? They will take the house, right?
No, you don't have to wait for them to take the house. Assuming it has totally failed. You can actually sell the property and buy a cheaper one.
Okay.
Yeah. When you are selling the property by yourself, you get a much higher value than waiting for a sale in distress.
Okay.
Yeah, you can actually take that property, sell it, or just the other man now is on the part of the income, where you can explore other means of substituting the income.
Okay.
Or you can get out of the house and rent it. I've seen many do it, move their boys' quarters, mostly if the children have moved out, and you rent the house, and the house pays for itself.
But in the last scenario, there's a risk that the bank will take that house.
That risk is always there, like the risk, like you can always drop and die. But that risk can be managed.
Okay.
Yes, very well managed.
I'm going to bring you back then another time, and we'll talk about managing the risk in a mortgage in case things go south. Viewers, we have scratched on the surface of how mortgages work and the issues you must keep in mind. Our time is not enough, but I'll bring back Dan. I promise I will bring him back. I brought him back. I'll bring him back again to discuss other things concerning these issues.
Anytime, Sam.
That was the link. Thank you for joining us tonight.